Welcome to the deep dive. This week we're jumping into something called meta-artificial communication.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds maybe a bit futuristic. But looking at the material you shared, it seems really grounded. It's about making AI and human teamwork, well, smoother, more understandable.
Yeah, exactly. It's less about the AI being this kind of mysterious black box
Right.
and more about, transparency, seeing how the AI actually works.
And the core idea,
Hmm.
from what I've gathered, is that the AI isn't just doing the task.
Yeah.
It's also explaining its reasoning, reflecting on it.
That's the crux of it, yeah. So today, our goal is really to unpack that, to dig into meta-artificial communication, pull out the key ideas from the sources.
And give you, our listener, a clear picture of what it is and why it actually matters,
Yeah.
without getting totally lost in the weeds, technically speaking.
Exactly. And what's really, I think, fascinating is this shift in focus. It's moving towards the AI's process.
Okay. Not just the final answer it spits out.
Precisely. And the heart of that is meta-communication. One source defined it really simply as talking about thinking or working.
Talking about thinking. Yeah.
So when you apply that to AI, it means the systems can actually, lay out their decision steps.
Step by step.
Yeah, step by step. They're reasoning how they plan to collaborate, maybe with other AI agents or even humans. And they do this in real time.
Wow. So it's like having a colleague who doesn't just drop the finished report on your desk,
Right.
but actually walks you through how they got there.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Okay, and we saw an example of this, didn't we?
Oh.
This sentence. We're using placebo pipes to bridge gaps in dataset X's analysis,
Mm-hmm.
which the backend will resolve post-validation. Now, that sounds a bit dense at first,
It does a little bit.
but if we break it down, what's happening there, the AI is flagging a temporary fix it's using. Right?
Exactly. Those placebo pipes, that's the term they use, are essentially placeholders.
Placeholders because something's missing, like data.
Yeah. Missing data. Maybe an insight it hasn't fully formed yet. But the key thing is it's not just saying something's missing. It's also communicating the plan.
The backend will resolve post-validation.
Right. It's saying, look, this part isn't totally finished. It's a placeholder for now, but we know about it, and here's how we're going to handle it later. Like a little heads up.
Okay, that makes sense. So these placebo pipes themselves, let's talk more about them.
Yeah, they're quite a neat concept. The material highlights the sort of dual purpose they have.
Okay.
So there's symbolic stand-ins, right? Could be a question mark, maybe ellipses, or like in that example, a bracketed term like pipe. They represent unresolved stuff.
Stuff that needs more info or work later.
Exactly. But it's not just about marking a gap. First, it acts like a flag.
A flag for what?
The flag signaling a dependency. Maybe it needs input from somewhere else, like a human engineer. The source mentioned someone called Dennis.
Okay. So it points outward sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And secondly, and this is really important, it lets the workflow keep going.
Oh, right. So the whole process doesn't just stop dead because one piece is missing.
Precisely. Instead of just stalling, the AI can carry on with other parts of the job, knowing it has to circle back and fill in that placeholder eventually.
That sounds really practical. Almost like in coding, when you use a stub function.
Yeah.
You'll fill it in later, but you can still test the rest of the system.
That's a perfect analogy. Yeah. And we saw this in another example, didn't we? Where the AI was asked to extract a role and task plan using any given starting point directly without changing it.
Right.
And the use of placebo pipes there was interesting. It seemed like the AI's way of saying, okay, I need to figure out what a valid starting point means in this context, even if you didn't spell it out perfectly.
So it uses the pipe to kind of manage that ambiguity.
Yeah.
And communicate about it.
Yeah, it's like it's saying, got your starting point. I'll use these placeholders to work out the best path forward based on what I have right now. It's quite dynamic.
Okay, dynamic is a good word. And that ties into how this whole meta-communication thing structures the collaboration itself, doesn't it?
It does. The sources really emphasize this step-by-step approach. The AI breaks tasks down sequentially.
With a clear goal in sight.
Always. That phrase, complete solution in the end, kept popping up. And it's not just for the AI's internal benefit, it's about making that whole journey visible.
Visible how?
Well, that meta-AI team collaboration YAML example showed it well.
Oh, the code-like structure.
Yeah, exactly. It had a simple title, Meta-AI Team Collaboration, and a description, a story about working together.
A story.
Yeah. The structure itself, the step-by-step outline, it becomes what one source called a narrative artifact.
Huh. So the process is the story.
In a way, yes. The AI isn't just doing the work, it's creating this transparent log, this story of how it's getting there. That YAML format makes it really clear, like a blueprint for the collaboration.
So the AI is basically writing its own making of documentary as it goes.
Yeah, something like that.
And speaking of collaboration, the sources mention something about roles within these AI teams being fluid.
Surprisingly fluid. It's not like each AI agent is stuck doing just one thing forever.
So they can adapt.
Seems so. Depending on how complex the task is, roles can shift. There were examples like an AI called fizz handling, natural language processing, while another one, the deliverable integrator, jumps in to sort out conflicts between different parts.
Sounds almost like a good human project team, switching hats as needed.
It does have that feel. But there's a caveat.
Oh.
One document, the 8.2 dialogue, really stressed that the AI sticks strictly to the initial parameters it was given.
Okay. So flexibility, but within limits.
Exactly. Roles might shift to tackle parts of the task better, but it's all still guided by the original instructions. The AI isn't just going rogue and changing its whole job description.
Got it. Flexible, but constrained. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered the main idea, the placebo pipes, the structured collaboration, the dynamic roles. Now, one of the resources you shared laid this all out really clearly, step by step. Credited to Kik Lametta.
That's right, Kik Lametta's breakdown. It's very helpful because it almost uses meta-communication to explain meta-communication, if that makes sense.
Okay, meta on meta. Let's walk through it. What's the first step?
The introduction. And it's quite revealing. The AI basically introduces itself as a cohesive collective with dynamic capabilities.
Okay, setting the stage.
And right away, it flags metacommunication and the use of placebo pipes as key features, defining traits.
So it's like, hi, we're a team, this is how we operate, and here's a tool we use.
Pretty much. Step 2 is straightforward. Define metacommunication, which, as we've said, is the AI agents talking about their roles, tasks, reasoning, all to boost collaboration and problem solving, promoting that transparency.
Right, getting it out in the open. What's next?
Step 3 is the role and task plan, and Lametta breaks this down further into 5 sub-steps.
5.
Okay. Identify the task, assign roles, discuss strategies, execute the plan, and reflect and adjust.
Discuss strategies stands out there. It's not just assigning tasks.
No, that's a key point. The AI agents actually talk about how they're going to tackle their assigned parts. It's an explicit discussion phase.
Like the AI's own planning meeting.
Exactly. Then, obviously, execute the plan, and crucially, reflect and adjust afterwards.
Showing that capacity for, like, self-correction, learning.
Iterative improvement. Then, step 4 loops back to the use of placebo pipes.
Okay, revisiting those.
Yeah, Lametta explains how they help structure and organize all this meta talk, keep it clear, make sure everything's covered, and gives specific examples too. Role, next role, and message.
Like template variables for their internal chat.
Basically, yeah. It provides a framework for their conversation, making sure key info, who's doing what needs saying, what's next, is all tracked explicitly.
That seems very organized.
It is. And then step 5 is the example scenario, which pulls it all together nicely.
What was the scenario?
Analyzing a complex data set to generate insights, and you see the roles in action. Data analyst, machine learning engineer, insight generator.
Okay.
And it shows them in that discuss strategies phase. For instance, the data analyst might say something like, okay, I'll start by cleaning the data, dealing with missing values, normalizing features, clearly stating its approach.
And this talk isn't just upfront planning, right? It continues.
Absolutely. During the reflect and adjust phase too, the data analyst might report back, cleaning's done, but hey, found some outliers we should look into.
So it shows self-awareness during the process.
Exactly. And maybe the ML engineer chimes in, we might need more data for better accuracy. Or the insight generator suggests, let's validate these initial insights on a different data slice.
It paints a really detailed picture of an AI team communicating and iterating.
It really does. And Lametta's final step, the conclusion, just wraps it up by emphasizing the main point. This whole meta-communication thing boosts collaboration, boosts efficiency, and enables continuous improvement.
So the AI gets smarter about how it works, not just what it knows.
Precisely. It's an intelligent system refining its own processes through talking to itself, essentially.
And it was interesting how that little fware meta.md file summed it all up so tightly.
Yeah, that was a neat little summary, almost like a mission statement.
We are meta artificial intelligence, engaging cohesively, teaming up with dynamic tasks and roles. enjoy a meta-communicative style using placeholders called placebo pipes.
Yeah,
It really boils it down.
it does. So if we synthesize all this, what we're really talking about with meta artificial communication is, well, peeling back the layers on AI.
Making it less opaque.
Yeah, using tools like these placebo pipes to manage the messy bits, the uncertainties and dependencies,
Oh, wow.
and structuring the way AI agents work together so the outcomes are clearer and the process is understandable.
And for you, listening, especially if you're interested in getting a solid handle on complex ideas quickly, this framework,
Yeah,
it's pretty valuable, isn't it?
I think so.
It lets you see beyond just the final output. You get a glimpse of the how.
Hmm.
It feels more understandable, maybe more auditable for humans and AI trying to actually work together effectively.
Exactly. You're not just handed the answer, you get some insight into the journey, the reasoning,
Right.
which, leads to a pretty interesting thought to maybe leave you with.
Okay.
If AI becomes increasingly transparent like this, what does that really mean for us? How might it change how we trust AI, how we interact with it down the line?
Mm.
And, what new things become possible when we can actually sort of listen in on AI thinking?
That's definitely something to mull over. What happens when the black box starts talking back?
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.